Hi, I'm Tony Poulos and I'm here at TM Forum Live in Nice. I have with me today David Moffat, an illustrious history as CFO, ex-CFO of Telstra in Australia, CFO of Lebara in the UK, and now Chairman of Asurion. David, welcome. You're one of our keynote speakers here today at TM Forum Live. Great to be here. It's good to have you here. And one of the topics, you're actually in a great panel discussion today with a couple of stalwarts from the industry as well, talking about the greatest competitor for telcos is the customer's future expectations. It's a great title for a subject, isn't it? It is. And you were very quick to point out that you thought you knew, or we should know, what makes the customers happy, but do we know what makes customers happy? Yeah.
Look, the answer is the customer will tell you. Are we listening effectively? And in big organizations, we have a big why. We create something. Google created something special. The iPhone, something special. It comes along, in other words, supply creates demand. But then you have to do something with it. And that means you have to then listen to the customers in a systemic way, capture what they're saying, and institutionalize that to improve your product development cycle, your speed to market. And that's really hard to do, and that's about leadership and culture. And this is where this stuff gets really difficult and where most people struggle, but it is possible.
You talked about creating an environment where the customer can really look after themselves. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, and you think about where technology is so simple today. A 5-year-old, a 3-year-old will pick up an iPad or any of the new interactive devices, and intuitively it works. It's intuitive design. It is the same in the sense of most large organizations should allow a customer to come into their organization and serve themselves anywhere they want to. But you think about the systems you have to have together, the IT integration, the data to understand and allow the customer to talk to you in very simple terms about who they are and what their needs are, as distinct from an identifying customer number, something 9 digits long with letters and numbers that you use at no other time in your life. And this is where organizations that are truly customer-centric are going. Any channel, any inquiry, any language, simple, plain English, resolution.
It's funny you were talking about talking to customers, because that's something we're seeing less and less of with smartphone apps and self-care. But you were at Lebara actually set up call centres in London, which is almost the reverse of what everybody else is doing, trying to go into low-cost centres around the world. Why did you do that?
Well, people really do misunderstand. If you're going to get a smile moment, and that is that total customer engagement, I'm not talking about polite inquiry resolution, that'll get you 20 NPS points. I'm not talking about a connection where you know something about them, that'll get you to 40. I'm not even talking about trust, where they'll allow you to make a recommendation. I'm talking total engagement. You need a superior level of customer service agent. Yeah. So in London, we need 25 languages, and you can't get that in many countries around the world. We get an applicant who has at least one of those languages, usually 2, but sometimes 5. Then you might have somebody who's got 1 degree, but usually 2, and sometimes more. You get a higher quality of customer service agent who's there to break out from where they are. And they're a migrant. They're living the big why of our business, serving customers in those migrant communities. So they've got a big why, they've got incredible intelligence, they've got great engagement, and we don't script them. So they engage with the customer. You can't get that in any other big city in the world.
That's a good point. Spontaneous engagement. What did you mean by spontaneous engagement?
Well, spontaneous engagement is when, at that moment of interaction, that when I open up and say, you know, hi, I'm from Lebara, how can I help you? It isn't some rote script that everybody in the call centre says. It's the individual expressing themselves. And when they do that, you get this spontaneous engagement back from the customer. Oh, I wasn't expecting that, because I've called 100 call centres and they don't act that way. Yeah. So it's that level of engagement that comes from the individual being allowed to be themselves. And once that happens, and of course you need the data and the systems backing it up, you need the compliance and all the good things that have to happen, then you get to the next level of engagement with the customer. But then you have to free the agent to do something special. For example, had a situation where a lady called into the centre and she said, thank you so much for helping me with my inquiry, but I'm a bit sad today. And the agent said, why are you sad? And she said, unfortunately, my son passed a month ago, and he used to come on Tuesdays and bring me red roses, a dozen red roses. And the agent finished the inquiry and said, "I'm very sorry to hear about it," hung up, and felt so compelled she sent a dozen red roses to this lady. Now, that's partly the individual, so her in this case, but it's partly about that spontaneous engagement, that they have the confidence to feel free to not only resolve a customer's issue, but actually go beyond that with emotional empathy.
I might try that next time I call up. David, thanks so much for being with us today and for being here at TM Forum Live.
Great to speak with you, Tony. Thank you. Cheers.